Tonight on CFTK-TV News, MP Ellis Ross weighs in on crime, the BCGEU strike escalates as liquor shelves empty, and Mark Carney hints at the revival of the Keystone XL pipeline.
Northwest BC's only television news team. We are CFTK-TV News.
Hello, and thanks for joining us on this Thursday, October 9th, 2025. I'm Jaylene Mathews. Two of the biggest concerns facing BC and communities across Canada, repeat violent offenders and homelessness, continue to dominate public debate as calls grow for stronger justice reform and social support systems. Skeena-Balclay Valley Member of Parliament Ellis Ross weighed in with some criticism. CFTK-TV's Helen Asante shares more.
From repeat offenders walking free on bail to growing homelessness on city streets, two issues that may be separate but together reflect a growing strain on communities across BC and Canada. MP Ellis Ross argues that crimes associated with addiction is far worse.
The crimes, in my opinion, associated with addictions is a different type of crime. Those people who are suffering with addictions are in a bad place. Whether that is associated with mental health issues at the same time makes it worse. I don't support decriminalization of drugs in BC. That experiment, that 3-year experiment that we're undergoing, was a failure in Oregon, and it's. I think it's affecting our culture as our small communities. I mean, a lot of First Nations around Canada and BC are calling for states of emergency just because of the overdose deaths.
The speaker says the justice system appears to be leaning the wrong way.
So the real crime I'm concerned about that's not associated with addictions is repeat offenders. These are the people that go to court, that they're probably in jail a few times, go to court, and they get out on bail, and they go out and commit another violent crime. This government seems to be more focused on the rights of these violent offenders, repeat offenders, and they don't seem too concerned about the victims. Crime is surging and crime is increasing all across Canada. I think the message is clear for criminals is that you can get away with crime in Canada if you're a repeat offender and if you're out on bail. We've got to turn that around.
Speaking on homelessness and addictions, he says government has rejected proposals which could aid addressing addictions and homelessness.
I will say that the terrorist actually provides the most services for homeless people. I mean, I was there at the formation of the garage, and now that seems to be a central gathering place for all the different groups that are trying to help the people on terrace. That proposal came to terrace by the First Nation leaders to say, hey, we got a piece of property we want to buy and we want to turn it into a treatment center and take our people, not just natives, but non-natives as well, take them out of the streets, treat them away from the streets. Well, they got rejected by the BC government. I've heard private sector initiatives saying that we could build a really basic shelter for the people to get them off the streets. I've heard just whatever proposal I can think of, but it's tough to get Victoria or Ottawa to understand, let alone support these types of initiatives.
CFTK-TV News, Helen Asante.
A Terrace resident recently made a large donation to a cause that's close to his heart. CFTK-TV's Kel Maslin reports.
Tyler Cameron, the general manager of the Acadia Northwest Mechanical Store in Terrace, recently made a pair of $5,000 donations, the first of which was to the Red Road Recovery North Treatment Center located near Kitwanga, and the second was sent to the new 19 and up men's sober living house in Terrace. Cameron mentioned that his reasoning for making such generous donations had to do with his own past experiences.
I'm in recovery myself, and when I was younger, going through the times that I went through, there was none of these services were available in the north. It was all down in the lower mainland, Vancouver Island, Kelowna, stuff like that. So for us to have these facilities up here and available in the north is huge.
Cameron also recently met up with members of the Together We Can Drug and Alcohol Recovery and Education Society and the school district in order to facilitate the creation of more spaces like this for even younger people as well.
We are pushing hard to open up housing and services for the youth in Terrace. There is a lot, like the Terrace Foundry, K5T, they have a lot of youth services available for counseling, addiction, stuff like that. But one thing they do not have is housing. So in the future, we are trying to push hard in our community to open up youth housing as well.
Cameron credited Skeena MLA Claire Rattay for helping organize the meetup between the parties, and there are plans for another sober living house to be set up in Terrace in the near future, albeit for the opposite gender this time.
But by January of 2026, there will be a 19-plus women's housing, sober living housing open in Terrace as well.
Cameron expressed that the parties will continue to work together in the future, and their hope is to get the community involved by asking for donations of items like furniture, kitchen appliances, clothing, and cleaning supplies. Cameron last said that he will also continue to make donations of his own in the future. For CFTK-TV News, I'm Cale Maslin.
Coming up next, the BC-GEU strike escalates. The main road link between Port Alberni and the community of Bamfield is set to reopen later this month after being closed by a wildfire for more than 2 months. The Transportation Ministry says crews have removed more than 1,000 dangerous trees on the slope along the Bamfield main road corridor. The road is scheduled to reopen on October 24th. It's been closed since early August when the Mount Underwood wildfire triggered a number of evacuations and severely hampered vehicle access to Bamfield and nearby communities. The working lunch between Prime Minister Mark Carney and President Trump is said to have included talks in improving relations in both the energy and vehicle sectors, and one change that may bring the revival of a previously scrapped pipeline plan.
Prime Minister, did you and Mr. Trump agree to revive the Keystone XL pipeline?
Very good discussions on a wide range of issues, and I look forward to talking to Parliament.
A source with knowledge of the discussions in the Oval Office confirms reviving the Keystone XL pipeline was raised between the two leaders. The extension would bring Alberta crude into the U.S. It was in the context of more energy cooperation between the two countries, but was also linked to relief on steel and aluminum tariffs.
Certainly, it could be another one of the levers that increases North American energy security, and so it certainly warrants exploring.
South Bow is now the proponent of the project, and while the Canadian company isn't privy to conversations between the governments, a spokesperson tells CTV News, quote, South Bow is supportive of efforts to find solutions that increase the transportation of Canadian crude oil. While a pipeline may be possible, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick is dismissing the prospect of an auto deal with Canada. Sources say at a Eurasia Group summit, Lutnick said the Americans could continue buying auto parts from Canada, but that's about it.
Auto pack's been around since the 1960s. You can't unscramble an egg, you have to make the omelet larger.
On Parliament Hill, opposition leader Pierre Poilievre called out the Prime Minister for not getting a deal in D.C. and promising more investment in the U.S.
Mr. President, you have been warned. If you put in another tariff, he's going to give you yet another $1 trillion. This is the tough negotiator that we hired?
We have the best deal with the Americans. And the third thing that's true is we will get an even better deal because we...
At that same Eurasia Group summit where Lutnick made the comments about the auto sector, Carney said there will be some bilateral deals alongside CUSMA, as there currently are, adding it's just one of the realities of these negotiations.
The BC-GEU job action has now escalated, shutting down government-run liquor and cannabis stores, as well as distribution centers, affecting the private sector as well.
The union kept this move up its sleeve, a job action trump card played strategically for significant impact. After closing specific locations at first, now every single store is locked up.
Oh, sorry. They're on strike, that's right.
In a typical strike, all of our members would have been all out right from the beginning, and you would have seen all these services, including liquor and cannabis distribution, shut down right from the beginning. We didn't do that.
The BCGEU says it had no choice. After 6 weeks of job action, they still haven't received what they believe is an acceptable offer. And so bright yellow picket lines will be up at government-run liquor and cannabis stores throughout the province.
Next time, don't drive in. It's disrespectful.
Of course, customers can still go to private stores while their stock lasts, but restaurants can't and are running out of stock.
It's getting critical, where we're getting members saying, look, we're literally days away from not being able to sell any liquor, and without liquor on our menu, we're not a viable operation.
Some that tucked away their U.S. booze in solidarity with the war on tariffs have admittedly been pulling that back out.
But even that product is now selling out, and there's just no ability for them to access liquor products.
The problem is not with the union. We're willing to get back to the table when government's willing to come with a real offer.
Also shut down, Service BC locations, where you go for things like marriage licenses.
Government has an offer on the table that keeps workers whole with inflation and helps the workers that are making the lowest wage, and we're looking forward to getting back to the table.
In other words, this is a typical labor dispute war of words, and the union is upping its game. And the public, customers, are hoping they make peace, and soon. St. John Alexander, CTV News, Vancouver.
The National Industry Association for Bars and Restaurants says the BC government should allow establishments to buy from private liquor stores as job action has shut down government stores. Restaurants Canada says alcohol sales are vital to the industry's profitability, with many bars and restaurants operating at a loss or just breaking even. The industry group says the provincial government and the BC General Employees Union need to reach a deal as the food service industry is bearing the burden of the strike. It says if the province can't find a way to allow food service businesses to buy from private stores while public stores are behind picket lines, it should consider tabling back to work legislation. And now we'll take a look at your Northwest weather report. Tonight on the North Coast, expect conditions to be clear, a low of 6 degrees. Over the next few days on the North Coast, expect the sunny weather to continue without a cloud in sight till Tuesday. Daily highs 10 to 13 degrees, overnight lows between 1 and 6 degrees. Tonight in the Terrace-Kitimat area, expect it to be clear, a low of plus 2 degrees. Over the next few days in the Terrace-Kitimat area, expect clear skies and sunshine. A few clouds Tuesday, daily highs 6 to 13 degrees, overnight lows between 1 and 4 degrees. Tonight in the Bulkley Valley and Lakes District, it's looking clear, becoming partly cloudy overnight, fog patches developing after midnight, a low of minus 5 degrees. Over the next few days in the Bulkley Valley and Lakes District, expect a few clouds and lots more sunshine, maybe some morning fog. Daily highs 6 to 10 degrees, overnight lows between minus 6 and minus 1 degree. Checking your highways around the Northwest region now. On Highway 16, there's construction in Prince Rupert with the detour in effect. Also bridge maintenance, ditching, utility work, construction work, and road maintenance. On Highway 37, there's maintenance underway as well as bridge construction. On Highway 37A, there's a section with falling rocks as well as bridge maintenance and bridge construction underway. On the Niska Highway, there's mowing underway. And this is what the roads were looking like this afternoon around the region from the view of the province's highway cams. Still to come, a breakthrough deal in the Israel-Hamas war. Police say charges have been approved against a man for his alleged involvement in a hit-and-run crash in Prince George that killed the cyclist and injured another. Prince George Mounties say the accused is facing multiple charges, including impaired driving and dangerous operation of a vehicle. The July 7th crash involved 2 cyclists, including an RCMP officer who was injured and another rider who later died in hospital. The riders were training for a cancer fundraising race in northern BC when they were struck. The shocking case of a BC lawyer charged with murdering his client has the lawyer arguing for a manslaughter conviction instead. CTV's Penny Daflos reports.
Rogelio Begabayo was known to his clients as Butch when the lawyer practiced in Kamloops. This week, he's been in court as the defendant charged with first-degree murder of a client. Crown alleges Begabayo killed Maud Abdullah after they'd worked together to hide hundreds of thousands of dollars during his divorce. The defense portrayed Abdullah as a frugal man who was frantic about his financial situation since Begabayo had spent the money himself. The defense also acknowledged Begabayo killed his client in his office during an unexpected scuffle when they met up in 2022. Abdullah was declared missing by staff at Thompson Rivers University, where he was a professor, prompting an RCMP search.
Even if people don't think it's relevant, you never know what's going to be the clue to help proceed with an investigation like this, so we always encourage people to make that call.
They found his body several days later in a rental van parked in the driveway of Begabayo's neighbor. Crown says the lawyer had a planning note and stored the body in a plastic tote he'd bought for that purpose, alleging he'd planned the murder for a week. The defense provided alternative explanations for several items, describing Begabayo as a procrastinator and planting the seeds of reasonable doubt about their purpose.
The defense is arguing that Begabayo should not be convicted of first-degree murder and that a manslaughter conviction would be appropriate. Of course, that would likely carry a much shorter sentence. Penny Daflos, CTV News, Vancouver.
Israel and Hamas have agreed to a breakthrough deal to pause the war in Gaza and release the remaining hostages, but many questions remain unanswered. Israel wants to ensure Hamas disarms. Hamas wants to ensure Israeli troops pull completely out of Gaza and do not restart the war. A post-war government for Gaza must be worked out to replace Hamas' rule. Any hitch in working out those intertwined issues can unravel everything. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's smaller security cabinet and the full cabinet are expected to approve the deal late Thursday. Arab officials and a Hamas official say that after that, a partial pullback of forces in Gaza will start. CTV's Joy Balbin has the details.
The U.S. president, during a press conference, was handed a note from the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, announcing a peace deal in the Middle East was close and that he needed to approve a Truth Social post so he could announce the deal first.
We're very close to a deal in the Middle East, and they're going to need me pretty quickly.
Hurrying out of that meeting, President Trump announced on Truth Social, "I'm very proud Israel and Hamas have both signed off on the first phase of our peace plan. This means that all of the hostages will be released very soon, and Israel will withdraw their troops to an agreed-upon line. What the president called the first steps towards an everlasting peace, and that all parties will be treated fairly." President Trump says he is considering traveling to the Middle East as soon as this weekend. For Israelis, it's a huge victory. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu saying he'll convene the government on Thursday to approve the deal and invited Donald Trump to deliver a speech at the Knesset in Jerusalem. Netanyahu tweeting tonight, "It's a great day, and with God's help, we will bring them all home." For the families of the hostages, it's an end to 2 years of agony. For those in Gaza, it's an enormous relief. The loss of life and utter devastation of homes and neighborhoods. Qatar, Egypt, and Turkey have all been involved, but many questions remain. Will Hamas give up its weapons? How quickly will the hostages be released? An Israeli spokesman says it could be as soon as this weekend. And how many Palestinian prisoners will be exchanged? And just how will this all unfold? But tonight, both sides are optimistic this agreement could lead to an end to the war. Joy Malbin, CTV News, Washington.
Turning to the markets now, a drop in gold prices helped shave more than 200 points off Canada's main stock index, while U.S. markets retreated from record highs. The Canadian dollar fell 0.2 cents. The price of gold fell by $97.90. Oil dropped $1.04, natural gas fell by 9 cents, aluminum gained $12. In Toronto, the TSX was down 232 points. The Venture Index was down 19 points. In New York, the Nasdaq dropped almost 19 points and the Dow fell by 243 points. Still ahead, civilians step in a helicopter rescue. Culture Minister Stephen Guilbeault says the Online News Act is working. A new report says social media influencers dominated the last federal election online, not traditional news. The report says that shift is consistent with the news sharing ban on Meta and reduced visibility of news on X, elevating non-news voices. Guilbeault points to Google's payments under the Act as proof it works, but concedes there may be ways to improve the law. Now to the civilians who helped rescue a helicopter crew after their chopper went down on a highway in Sacramento, California.
This morning, horrifying new video capturing the moment a medical helicopter carrying 3 crew members plummeted from the sky and into the middle of a busy freeway in Sacramento, California. Everyone on board surviving thanks in part, officials say, to the help of Good Samaritans springing into action. People seen running to help other bystanders already holding up the chopper, which lay wrecked on its side.
I started screaming to the people. I said, help us, help us. And then a bunch of people, more people came running towards the helicopter.
Like a bunch of people came and we helped lift the helicopter and we pulled her under. We had to pull her from under.
The group lifting the helicopter while first responders retrieved the passengers trapped inside.
There's no truck on scene for extrication tools, just a fire engine. So that captain quickly sequestered the help of multiple civilians to come over and lift this helicopter.
The pilot, a nurse, and a paramedic all remain in critical condition this morning.
And then one of the passengers just kept telling her, you're alive, you're alive. You're not alone.
Reach Air Medical Services, which operated the helicopter, thanking those Good Samaritans, saying in a statement they showed exceptional courage during this crucial moment.
Will Reeve, ABC News, New York.
The Senate is studying a bill that would add cancer warning labels to alcohol packaging. Senator Patrick Brazeau sponsored the bill and tells a Senate committee alcohol is linked to 7 deadly types of cancer. He says research shows only a quarter of Canadians are aware of those risks and there are misconceptions about the safety of alcohol. Brazeau expects alcohol companies will oppose the move and reminded senators today that tobacco warning labels faced similar resistance. And finally, police in Port Moody say a dog has been reunited with its family after the vehicle it was in was stolen by an alleged car thief. Police say the theft happened on Tuesday on St. John Street when a motorist stepped out of their SUV and left the vehicle running. They say an unidentified suspect jumped in and drove away with the dog still inside, and the vehicle was later found abandoned and unoccupied. Police say the dog was found by a Good Samaritan on a busy street nearby and has since been returned to the family while investigators are working to identify the suspect. That's our news for now. For more local news, you can visit us online at cftktv.com. All of our casts and stories also go up on our YouTube and TikTok pages. We'll be back tomorrow. Thanks for watching.